Call the meeting to order. Thank you all for taking time this evening to come and participate in the civic process here. First item on the agenda, of course, is approval of the minutes of the prior meeting, which was December 1. And you've all had copies of those minutes in your packet. Is there anything in there that we need to question or correct or? I think I'll revert back. Last time, I think we actually had a motion to approve the minutes, but I think it's simpler if we just, the chair will declare that the minutes are okay since nobody has objected. So I don't know if that's okay with you. Come to public comments. This would be on matters unrelated to the Planning Commission the application for lot split. Anything else that anybody wants to talk about before we get to that? We'll give one more opportunity yet before adjournment, but anything? Barry's here for the case at hand, so let's just move on to that then. Anything, I guess, Dan, have you got anything to say about that? Or does everybody know what and where we're talking about, first of all? 6.33 acres on the north side of 3rd Street, clear out the west part of town.
Has everyone had a chance to see this?
Yeah. We had, didn't we have copies? Yeah, we had copies.
Yeah, a copy that went into your packet. There we go. Now it's oriented. So this is 3rd and Cedar Street. There is a section there on the west side of that. There's 3 buildings, I guess. Looks like 3 buildings, and there's been like a camper there. Is a camper still there?
Yeah, the camper's still there.
Okay.
So that's the Laurie's.
Okay. So this is they're wanting to divide this to, I don't know, flip that one over too. Into two lots, 5.82 acre tract on the west side, and then a little over half an acre on the east side. It looks like it's 10.5 feet from the back edge of the furthest west shed. So that gives you some kind of idea of what we're looking at there. Notices have been sent out with this.
Who got the notices?
Notices go out. There's a list in the
back here.
In 200 feet of the property. So we sent it out to about 1,000 people, a little bit more than that, probably.
Didn't you read your packet, Joe?
I must have missed that.
Yeah, it's on the back of the notice. There's the list.
There's a list.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So went out to those people. By way of comments on that, I did have 3 separate people ask me about it, and no one has objected to it. They were just more interested in kind of what this meant. So Monaheim came in, a couple other people too, or people that received the notice. Jerry Fensky asked me about it, and I can't remember his name. He came in and asked me about it too. He's a neighbor.
So I have a question on it. Okay, so pull up this map.
That map?
Or the other map first.
The survey.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like, so if we go back, it's gonna be right there, like that side.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Okay.
flipped.
This
So-
is flipped.
According to this, it says if a new street is needed to be done, it can't be proposed as a split. Are we gonna, is there gonna have to be a new street done there? Because there's no street at the back end of that.
No,
Which one are you referring?
Cedar.
Letter A.
That says no lot split shall be approved if a new street or alley or other public
That's what I'm
improvement is needed.
There's no street going back to that back area.
Take this. I can't do it when it's not. Right, so yeah, there's a platted, this is a platted street, Cedar
So there
Street.
is a street all the way through that? Okay,
Well, no, it's not platted,
Platted street,
that's what I.
platted, but yeah, there's no actual need for it to go all the way through.
but,
Cause that's Tamana's place back there, right?
but that part that is there is a street, right?
I believe so.
It's not a private drive, it's a
Correct,
street.
it's Cedar Street.
Okay,
So there is street serving that in addition to the.
it's just not
West side.
paved.
Right.
Okay. I was just wondering.
Yep, that's
So I
fair.
was like,
Good catch.
and then alleys, don't have to worry about alleys.
Valley there.
What is minimum lot width for an industrial? I-1?
That's a good question.
You might need to know that.
Now look,
Got it?
I can find it.
I can go grab the book.
I-1.
I-1.
Use, it's not gonna mean use. Minimum lot size should be 10,000 square feet. Minimum lot width should be 100 feet.
That actually says that on here. It's on here.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Oh, does it say that over there?
It said minimum lot footage.
Oh, lot footage, but
And from what area?
Technically, it's
So I actually knew that at one point.
so is the minimum 60? Is keep on this thing, or is it the length of it?
width would refer to the shortest side, correct? Generally speaking,
Or the address side.
the address side of it.
So this is only 63.7 feet.
I think
Would
I-
that require them to request a variance then?
No, I think I looked at it as though it's. The address side is Cedar Street.
That's the long part.
That would be the long section. Yeah. That would be more than enough.
But this thing says it's C Street.
The general location is this. Lot. This lot, this. This owner owns that, so yeah, I mean. That's what I was thinking, but. I was wrong once before, Gary, you might remember.
Oh.
I've forgotten, I was hoping you remember.
That is a point to be considered.
So there's no, in the regulations, there's no minimum depth of the lot
Just width.
width.
In a building or structure can occupy are allowed in this district to occupy all the lot except for the area required for off-street parking. That's not an issue here, but
Can you go down to yard regulations?
no setbacks. Yeah.
Okay, I have an answer.
Mm.
I'm gonna pull that back up.
Sure enough.
On the zoning map. In fact, there is a zoning line here, and this is R2. And this is I1.
Oh,
There's a delineating line exactly where he's wanting the,
Why the
Lot
split
split.
there.
that changes it from this side is R2, and that's the I1.
In the application maybe.
so what does that say about the question at hand then?
Well, the R2 required width is 30 feet, isn't it?
I think it's 50.
50.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Enough.
$50 feet. Oh, R2.
Yeah.
Lot coverage,
Now go back up. Right there,
intensity,
the single family, there's a lot, or the single family.
minimum
With a
width is
minimum
50.
width of 50 feet.
Yep.
It doesn't
Which you're fine
say,
there.
doesn't give a minimum on. Well, that's R2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say if there's a minimum for two-family dwelling, just the size of the lot is different.
I took a picture of the map, just so you know, Gary.
Okay,
Here's where we're talking about. That's the I-1.
yeah,
And then that's Cedar Street right there.
That's right.
And then that's the
That's the
line. And so
R2.
this is R2.
Is R2.
So it's a curious little anomaly, but
well, it included the Cedar Street down here and the Cedar Street up there, and so they did a. Okay, so if we approve this, the small piece would remain R2. and the
R2,
other
correct.
piece would be
I1.
I1.
So on the proposal, though, it says here that they're proposing it to be I1. Online.
Right, the track
does.
1 would be, and track
Well-
1 would be I1, and track 2 would be R2.
right, yeah,
Yeah,
because actually
I'm just saying.
Harry submitted the application, so his part is going to be I-1, but he's submitting it on behalf of Elaine, so I probably should have made that
Okay.
R2.
So the 100-foot lot width requirement doesn't apply? Is that what we're saying?
To this,
correct.
because it's zoned R2.
it would remain, it would be required on the portion that's being rezoned I1 or zoned I1.
Right, and that's,
But that's the big portion, so that's not a problem. The other portion, the R2 would apply, which is the 50-foot requirement,
Which we have.
which we have. And for existing buildings, they don't have to meet a setback.
Correct.
plus their accessory structures, so the setback requirement.
So 10-foot setback though,
It's
isn't it?
3 feet per
But I
accessory
mean-
structure.
But I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Now,
And the 10
Yeah.
foot is
that's
The
plenty.
front is 24.5 and side is 30 and 10.5 on that back edge. So it's within the bounds for that. It's kind of it would be a non-conforming structure because it's an accessory building without a residence.
Right.
Which we see occasionally from time to time.
We've got one in the county that's got about that much space.
Did anybody else want to see the zoning map?
And it's already I1, right?
Yes.
So why was it two different? If I'm kind of confused, why one half of it is R, or part of it is R2 and part of it's I1.
That's a great question,
Okay.
Lily.
I was like,
Why it would have been done that way?
okay. I
Because
was
someone
like,
was anticipating this,
that it was
this
gonna be
lot split
would have
Okay,
to
I was
happen.
like,
Well, it may have to do with the
with
building.
the buildings and that they're private residents.
Yeah, that they were actually part of.
It wasn't
probably
part of another split before.
It was part of Elaine's probably across the street. So, because she owns that land.
Mhm, Okay.
And I
She
think
probably
Wayne was the
owns it.
zoning administrator at the time.
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Probably.
But I
Okay.
don't, we've got other places where a lot is split. I don't remember where they are, but
Seems odd. You would have-
Yeah.
I think we've got other
Lot
spots
that's
where
two different.
we split it.
Well, and I think that
There's all kinds of odd.
Davey
things.
and
I wanted to
Monahan
bring
have
up there, but-
first right to purchase that property, the buildings. Yeah,
Something like that.
something like there's some kind of thing deal worked out there. So if that was the case, then these would be, well, they wouldn't be adjacent because there's it's a platted street that divides it, but they would be under one ownership at that point. They could vacate that street, I guess, and
Yeah,
create a whole new thing, but that's a whole other deal.
since there's no place for the street to go, they
Mhm.
chose to do that. It would be a possibility.
Could be, they could do that. Wouldn't mind vacating a street, anything we can take off the system's fine. Good with that.
Just restrict what they can do with it.
Well, sure.
So there's nothing wrong with the request, so
Doesn't seem like there's a technical
No.
issue with it.
I have no problem with it.
The drainage area on the other side, that's apparently what that is. Is there any concern about that going into this piece of property?
Thanks.
Or would that be a future problem?
It looks like there's a natural draw right here.
It drains out that way,
Yeah,
but I think that might be floodplain.
Some of it is.
Some of it is
There's actually
floodplain.
two, that one.
You can kind of see there.
Right there has been there, and then if you go over that way, there's another and that goes through there.
But you're not planning on doing construction there, correct?
Not for any time soon.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I'm basically, I've known Laurie's forever, and the people, actually, we bought the piece of property over probably 55 years ago that I have.
Mhm.
And it was all one, and actually where Davey and Mona lived, that got Johnny Bartle owned all that. And then Laurie came in there and bought that and built the trailer courts up and stuff.
Mhm.
So, and Laurie's didn't want to get rid of the buildings at the time. They want to keep it for their own storage and stuff.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Actually, when I talked to them, we had talked to them years ago, and of course, I kind of had first chance at if I wanted that, and I was kind of only wanting maybe buy some of it, but she wanted to sell all of it and just keep what little she needed to keep the buildings and stuff. But yeah, but actually, there's kind of two waterways that go through there.
And this section right here is a city-owned reserve, drainage reserve. It runs through here and all the way up.
I will need to know who was speaking and what their address was. I can't see them on screen, sorry.
That was Terry Hill. What is your address, Terry?
You know what it is down there, that piece of property.
No, you're right.
no, you're right.
2414.
Oh, 2144 Kansas. I thought you wanted the property down there.
Can you get that, Danielle?
Okay, I've got Terry Hill of 2144 Kansas. Is that right, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just hanging out off camera.
Okay, any more questions, or are we ready to take action? Chair would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the motion as presented.
Okay. Been a motion made to approve the application as it's presented. Is there a second? Okay, second. Did you get that, Danielle?
Gary.
Was that Eddie?
Yes,
No,
it was.
well,
I make
then-
motion.
Eddie made
And then
the
Joe?
mo- Gary second.
Okay,
Gary.
nope. Thank you.
Okay, one more chance for discussion or questions. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Aye.
Okay. Passed without opposition.
Okay. Get that signed off.
Have at it.
and Way to go.
Okay, thank you all.
Yep. And there's no further action required, correct?
Nope, not on the lot split. And sign that and go.
Okay, well, guess I can leave then.
Stay if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Maybe I will stay. It's gonna last very long.
thanks.
I think I'll go.
It's hard to say.
We'll see y'all.
See you, Terry.
Move on to the County Planning Commission case we talked about back on December 1.
Yeah. So this was an interesting case. So as we had talked about in this is that section of property at 180th and Indigo, that corner piece. It's kind of a triangular section. It's almost completely in the floodplain. A couple of gentlemen wanted to build container homes there, container homes.
Modification plant.
Modification plant, which is essentially an industrial use, which we objected to. This group kind of informally objected to. We didn't really vote on it or anything like that, but we also took that to the city council and they made a formal objection to that, sent that into the County Planning Commission. So I went to the Planning Commission meeting. It got delayed again until January 5th. So I went to the Planning Commission there. We actually had several members of the public, a couple of residents we had, and then Kim Abrams, who lives right across the street from this proposed project, came too. to voice concern about the industrial use proposed there. And to which the planning commission was very receptive. They did not support that happening. One of the key differences between how kind of we would have processed this and how the county processes this is they allowed every use that they were talking about into one conditional use permit. So we voted on the industrial. We didn't have any, we just focused on that. We don't want that to happen there. They also included in the bottom of their packet in phase 2, a proposal for Airbnbs to be there. So not only were they planning on building these shipping container homes there, they were going to put some on the site, presumably on the other side of the creek, to house Airbnbs there.
Is there even room enough on the other side?
That was there's a lot of technical questions with this because, like I say, all that's floodplain. So if you were going to
pretty close.
if you were going to do that, then you would have to do some significant building to get it out of the floodway. That's a whole other deal. So the planning commission did say, yes, we don't want, or no, we don't want to have that industrial use, but they did allow them, for whatever reason, to go forward with the Airbnb portion of the program. And then also to put a sign. So they approved up to 3 Airbnb structures, residential units, using a total of 12 shipping containers. So you could do any combination thereof, but 3 individual units in one accessory building that could also be a shipping container. So it could be a shed, it could be a commons room, whatever. They did approve that to move forward on the conditional use. So they struck the part that we were concerned about, the industrial part, and they left the part which is the Airbnb. Now, if we were to do that, we would split those 2 up. We wouldn't say you can just kind of throw everything into your conditional use and let's go. We would have said industrial use. We're going to look at that first because that's the most important.
Not saying that they approved, you mean that they recommended
To the county commission. Yeah,
right.
sorry.
And which meeting is coming up?
The 23rd on Monday, the 23rd, they will hear this case. So the city still has a written objection to the conditional use permit. Although we only really looked at the industrial part, we still have an objection filed. So in order for the county commission to override our objection, they have to have a supermajority vote. So 4 out of the 5 commissioners have to vote to either approve the planning commission's recommendation and override ours. So that's kind of how it's set up. I have no idea what the county commission will do. And I don't necessarily think that we have a huge objection to the Airbnb portion. And just there's some logical questions as to if you could actually do this and do so in a way that made any sense. But
so Airbnb of shipping containers
Right.
sitting out there.
3 shipping
So it would be
containers.
just shipping containers.
Yeah, the
You'd
shipping
have 12.
container home.
There
Mini
could
is
be
12, yeah.
Mini is 12.
12 shipping
But only
containers.
3 dwellings, I guess.
3 dwellings, which could be a combination of
So just a storage yard.
kind
Is how that could be done.
of what it would look like.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah. Unless
And
they were to
kind of-
dress them up.
Trying to not have that be an entrance to
Right.
Hillsboro looking like that.
We were trying to avoid some of that. That wasn't probably the biggest objection we had, but yeah, that is an objection.
So they won't follow any of our rules of the shipping containers. then.
Correct.
Because
Yeah,
they're
it's still out
outside.
of the county.
So what happened to you said that there was some filing that it was supposed to be further out with the city,
Right.
but that didn't, what happened?
That's a
with
whole
that?
other issue. So after they did this case, they had an off agenda item, which was to review their process for extraterritorial zoning in the county and areas of influence. They call it areas of influence. So in this case, we got notified because it was close to Hillsboro, but it really didn't technically meet their area of influence definition as it's currently written. So what they want to do is go back and clearly define what the areas of influence are and negotiate with municipalities if they so choose to, what the extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction that the county would allow. So state law, well, to back up, when we approved our last zoning, our last comprehensive plan and zoning structure, we filed all the paperwork to claim our extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. That went to the county, but they never officially recognized that. or at least they don't have any, they have no record of officially recognizing that, which would have to come through commission action. So it probably didn't happen. And so they don't have to recognize our authority to do that. The county has to agree to that essentially. So what they're wanting to do then is to go back and negotiate with communities who may want to have that and figure out what that extraterritorial zoning should be, or if it should just be an area of influence and how far out it should be, all those things.
It's supposed to be 3 miles at one time, wasn't it?
3 miles is kind of what's in state law. It's not hard and fast. We could always choose to, we can go up to 3 miles. So we could choose a mile. You could, you know.
Well, if state law says you go up to 3 miles and the city that says they want to go however far, why does it require approval of the county if a state law says you have the right?
That's right. Well, that state law is written specifically for counties that aren't zoned. So because Marion County is zoned, then they have some say in that, and that's where the approval comes from at the commission level, not even the planning commission, the actual county commission. So it becomes this weird mess, in my opinion. And extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction is, I mean, it always has been, but most counties don't have a problem if a city says we want to do that. Some counties do. Sedgwick County is kind of notorious for turning down, except for I think the city of Derby and the city of Hayesville have it, but those are the only two. So it's kind of up to the county commission's whim as to what that actually ends up looking like. So I don't know. They seemed receptive to us taking our extraterritorial zoning at whatever level we would choose to do that, but that was just the planning commission and the planning staff and not the county commission. They may have a different feeling about that altogether. This issue did come up not just with us, but with the city of Peabody when they were doing the wind farm. That's within 2 miles of Peabody. And so they thought that they would have some sort of, they could have some objection to that as well. So
I don't think it ended up within 2 miles.
no, it didn't, but I think the permit that they issued was in that range. Yeah. So it ended up being a whole thing where now they're going back to the drawing board and saying, okay, well, we probably need to fix this, which I would agree. They need to fix this. Now, what that ends up being, I don't know. They just said that they would want to negotiate with those cities who are interested. So presumably us, maybe Peabody, maybe Marion, and that would be about it. So that's kind of where it ended up. I'll be at the planning commission meeting on the 23rd to voice our objection, our continued objection to this conditional use permit. And then we'll, I guess, whatever process they come out with, we'll engage with them on that. And then this body will have a role in determining, how far out we want to take our ETJ and, what we can reasonably do. The generally accepted kind of definition for the extraterritorial zoning is if you can service that area with your city utilities. So that's kind of been the rule of thumb. Because county zoning ends up getting into stuff like, above ground sanitation, wells, all kinds of crazy stuff you can get into in a county, but which we have no experience with because everybody's on city water here. Everybody's on city sewer, but.
So you're talking mainly just on the main roads in and out of town.
Yeah, we would probably, I don't know that we'd want 3 miles to be right honest, but
I mean, you wouldn't count down 180, that dirt road half mile. That's
right. Yeah, we'd probably want some kind of influence over that because the city and the city land bank owns the second half of Willow Glen. So we would like to develop that at some point, and I don't want it to be right next to a feedlot if that does happen, which could happen today theoretically. So yeah, that's kind of the update on that. You have any questions? It was the longest planning commission meeting I'd ever sat in. It was like almost 4 hours. So
You said it got moved to January? Because
Yeah,
I
moved to
didn't
January.
get notified of that.
yeah, it was.
As a
I was
homeowner
hoping to
that's
go to
not there.
that too, but I didn't know. that
Yeah,
it
I didn't know it.
happened.
I knew that it was bad weather that first night,
Right. That's
Yeah.
why they moved it.
but they didn't
They didn't post
send
that.
anything. I got nothing unless did you take it when you put them
I
in the
have
mail?
no idea. I don't pay
Like-
that close
I was
attention.
like, did you keep it and not give it to me?
Probably more than I think.
And so,
I do that quite often.
so I didn't know. I mean, are they supposed to actually
Keeps
notify
packages
you?
too.
Okay.
Yeah, if they moved
This
it.
is a big one.
Yeah, I was like, I got the first one, the
Yeah.
first notification, but I didn't get the second
That-
notification that there
would
was a
give
different
you-
time.
That would give you legal grounds to go to the county commission meeting
And so
And
that's what
say,
I'm wondering if that could be
Wait a
part
minute,
of
we weren't notified, this isn't following the
So-
rules.
Cause I know,
I
cause
don't know what the repercussions that.
Yeah, I don't know.
because I know Garvey was planning on going, Gary was going, and yeah.
Both of them did
Uh-huh, okay, so they were notified then somehow.
somehow. I don't know.
I didn't get anything in the mail.
Maybe it was.
And I'm the
maybe it
address.
might have been in the paper. I don't know, but.
Okay, so that's enough. It doesn't
I
have to be
never-
mailed out.
I try to watch those legal notices in the Marion County Record, and I never saw anything in there about it.
If
I may have missed
they
it.
start a meeting and then delay the action,
They had the.
they
first-
don't have to notify anybody. But if they postpone it, I think they're supposed to
I think
notify,
it's
but I
supposed to.
don't
'cause it
know.
was
If
postponed twice.
Twice.
Yeah, I don't know if they have to
Yeah.
postpone
Once by our request. and
by
once
mail or
web.
how they have to postpone.
I don't know how they do that.
That's-
You could find out from Garvey how they got.
I bet you could challenge it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if that
Well,
could be part of helping
would-
the cause.
Yeah,
Be
they
the
would
one
put it
that-
off.
Delay it, that would delay it until they had an opportunity to give notice.
They'd have, well, yeah, they'd have to go back to the planning commission
Right.
again. Planning commission would have to have another meeting.
Yeah, right.
I'll do that.
Well, that.
You don't have another 4 hours of your life to.
That would give the city time to object to the other.
Well, the other part of it, yeah. Yeah,
I also didn't realize that part was in there.
well, right, because it was kind of buried in the back. And it was in phase 2, like this
Oh, it
could
was in
happen
phase
at some.
I don't, it didn't say it in the letter.
No, it didn't have it. It's not in the letter. It was in their
is that stuff we didn't even-
presentation.
So we didn't even know about it.
You didn't know about that part.
So you don't go to the thing not realizing it's not there and then,
Right, yeah.
wow.
So this is kind of,
Sorry.
like I say, their process is different than ours. So, but they still are bound by the same laws that we are as far as notification. So that would be,
But you said Garvey and Gary were both there.
yeah,
Okay.
Kirby and Gary both went.
Oh,
So they were both there to
and both,
object.
see.
But yeah, it was, I normally wouldn't do it that way. So I don't know. I don't know if they've got some just different way to do it, I guess.
How many people do they have on their planning?
They have 11. Yeah, it's
No wonder it went so long.
Yeah. it's a big deal. Two from each commissioners, districts, and then an at-large person. So it was a long time. And they were reasonable. I mean, they were a reasonable group. They were kind of weighing stuff out, and had many of the same objections we had. This lot size is too small. It's on the floodplain. You can't turn a truck in here. You can't.
But they still said it was okay.
They said, no, you can't
Yeah,
do
but-
this industrial part, but you can put, some Airbnbs in there, but you still gotta, they still have to comply with everything if you're gonna build in a floodplain, they still have, I think it's cost prohibitive,
Yeah.
honestly, it doesn't make any sense.
It
but
doesn't seem like it's a very good business model.
no, it isn't.
Where's the group up front that's trying to put this in?
So it's a limited, an LLC that was formed in September. They are out of Rose Hill. But they have some local people who are partners in it, I guess, so.
So is there any talk about moving them to the industrial park?
I did have a conversation with the main person on that we would consider doing a land swap. We've got some area out by the hospital that would work for something like that, which would be much more appropriate. We didn't get too far into it. They were sort of interested, but they acted like they had enough money in this that they need something, it seemed like they were trying to get more than just a straight swap, and it really didn't go very far after that. And I'm not sure where they're at now, what they're going to end up doing, because they've gotten approved for a second half of this project that probably was contingent on the first being successful. So I don't know. The reality is I don't know what they're actually going to end up doing. So
Find out on Monday.
I guess we will.
Okay, thank you. Rest of the city administrators report then.
Yeah, I wanted to mention I talked with Andrew, the city attorney, about how we would proceed with the changes to the fencing requirements and the ag exemption. Originally, we had kind of thought we could do that through just going through the city council, but he recommended, because there's a little bit of a gray area, I guess, with that, he recommended going back through the planning commission to do a public hearing on that. So we'll set up a public hearing for February to hear those, and then we'll take it through the planning commission route like we normally would. And then also the Barkman Honey conditional use that we denied. They didn't move any further. They wanted to pull it from the city council, and they're going to come back. Well, I guess it was a rezone. They're going to come back with a conditional use permit, but I haven't seen that yet. So I'm hoping to get that before the February meeting as well. So that is everything I have, sir.
Okay. One more opportunity. Any other matters we need?
I have an anomaly that I'd like to share with the group a little bit. And it's just basically, this is something that came to my attention. There's a lot that actually the owner owns what we would refer to as the street. So clearly it's not a street, but this is the type of thing that this group can prevent from happening. You can see there highlighted in blue, 118 South Wilson. The owner of that lot owns that street. So basically we have two lots there at 708 and 714 that don't have public access to their lots. Now, the person that owns that lot is, happy to allow them access, but he's thinking about selling. And so you don't know with the new owner, they're going to put up a toll booth or what they're going to do. So I don't know. Matt and I have been talking about this quite a bit, and I don't know that there's really anything we can do about it. But just I wanted to bring it to your attention just as an example of what can happen when people don't ask the type of questions that Lily was asking and Gary was asking, to make sure that things get done correctly, because somebody dropped the ball there, that shouldn't be allowed to happen. Now, I did talk to the street department. We don't maintain that. That's not an official, it's known to the street department as not being, but I mean here, Eagle View has it as East F Street. And I think that's what it's commonly known as. There may even be a street sign up there that says F Street.
Definitely want to take that down.
Yeah.
Is part of it F? Nope.
I don't think so.
None of it. The property line goes all the way to the right of way.
That's the way our lot is.
Yeah.
Out there where we live. Because we've got 4 houses on a private drive.
Right.
Yeah, that works if you have access.
Are you in the city limits?
No.
Yeah, you're outside the city limits. Yeah, this is in the city limits.
Yeah, I know.
Danielle, did you have a question or?
I just don't want to get forgotten. I have a comment when Ben is done with this discussion.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
I just kind of wanted to bring that to y'all's attention.
So when they had to get building permits and all of that stuff, there really wasn't that address there.
Yeah, well, they're the post office and we have them as 714 East F Street.
Do you know if they were built while they were in the city?
I don't know. I don't know when this all took place.
Yeah. Because that's out where I live. We've got a street road that comes in, and then the house off to one side, and a shed with a field, and then a house, and then another house, and another house.
Yep.
And they're all off of a private access drive. They tried to get the county to take it as a street, and they won't take it because the easement's not wide enough.
Right.
So it will remain a private drive, but that could be what happened here.
It could be.
It started out as a private drive in the county and then was later annexed
into the city.
So what would be the remedy for this?
Is there anything?
There really is.
Well, the city would probably have to purchase that land from that owner and dedicate it as a street.
From a legal point of view, what happens is that essentially either through previous use, you have a
presumed easement.
You have a presumed easement. And in our case out there, I don't know if there's a written easement for any of us, but there's certainly implied easement.
Right,
whatever
and
that
I
is.
think a presumed easement can be legally defensible.
Yeah, my wife had a uncle that had a piece of property out in the middle of a farm field
Mhm.
and had a road across to get to his area. And somebody bought the rest of the area and he plowed up the road. And they came out and put the road back in and told him, no, you can't remove that because that's access.
Access to their
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
So in this case,
Fathered in.
if it's sold and that person who bought it said, no, I don't want someone going past there.
Then there would become a legal battle.
It become a legal battle, but he'd lose.
Yeah, because it probably is a presumed easement, but yeah, I just wanted to point it out. This is one of those little
Yeah, it
anomalies
shouldn't
that
happen.
can happen if we're not paying attention.
Well, it's up to you to make sure that we do things right.
I do my best, but
Presumably there was no planning commission when that was.
that's very,
Put together,
awesome.
I would
Well,
guess.
How does that work behind my house? There's no alley back there.
right.
That's who, is there an easement back there?
That again, that's probably a presumed easement because that was railroad right of way, correct?
I don't.
I think it was railroad right of way that got deeded over to the adjacent landowners. And because we've got, there's some heartburn going on about some of that.
Yeah,
That they wanted to close that access off. But I think we were able to prevent that from happening because of a presumed easement.
Well, the road behind Grand Oaks.
That's what we're talking about. Right?
Yeah, the road behind there, they built their shed, barn, garage or whatever at the end of the drive, so that road couldn't
In Dirksen?
go on any further.
Well, Grand Oaks doesn't abut the former railroad right away, so that would be a little different situation than we're talking about.
But the access behind, I mean,
maybe
there-
that's not the railroad, like,
right, but I'm just saying the access behind like your house and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all field back
Right,
there, right?
right.
And does Wendell own all of that?
No, that's Heffley's now.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
This doesn't go clear to the railroad right away either.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I was mistaken.
But yeah, that's just all kind of a
Yeah,
weird
if-
situation back there.
If there's been are there utilities running through there? If there's utilities in there, at some time or another, they've granted a utility easement. And that easement doesn't go away when you change ownership. Because they always say subject to easements and all that stuff. Now you may legal, like in Derby, we legally owned out to the middle of what's now Patriot Avenue, but 71st Street. But there was a road easement and then there was a water easement, so there
yeah, you don't.
were different easements,
It's just electric.
but we still owned. We were one of the few places that still owned out to the middle of the street. That doesn't do anything to own it, you can't use it.
Yeah, and that's what gives a lot of those adjacent landowners heartburn because they gotta pay taxes on it, because now they own it, but they can't build on it.
Yeah,
And so they just have to mow it and pay taxes on it. And
yeah, in my case with the street, they figured out the boundary for where the street was and they didn't tax us for that part, but yeah.
Well, we had about as much fun as we could stand for tonight.
Yep.
well, Danielle still has something.
Yeah,
that
something.
can-
Oh, okay, sure. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So real quick, I just wanted to apologize. What you have in front of you were my notes from the minutes. From the last meeting, I will get you corrected minutes for review for the next meeting. So I just wanted to apologize for that delay.
I think we approved him.
I don't think anybody noticed.
Well,
You
Well, I
write
would-
what
I
you want to. We already approved it.
I will still revise them and send them out to you all.
Bring him back.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right. Meeting adjourned, I guess.
Beautiful.